One more, we have a quorum?
Good evening, it's 7 o'clock on Tuesday, September 26th, for our regularly scheduled council meeting. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Charlie Davidson,
Here.
George Glover.
Here.
Ben Sosetta,
Here.
Charles Schwenke,
Here.
Tom Jones, George Capps,
Present.
Brandy Bailey, Jim Schrader.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, and Brandy is at a meeting down in Derby, and she will be here as soon as she's done with that business. I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with our invocation with Pastor Gary Whitting, and then our Pledge of Allegiance led by Ben Salceda. If you'll please stand.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we give thanks to you for the many blessings that you've provided us. Thank you for a land where voice and vote are possible among us. We thank you for the gathering here of those who've taken responsibility for leadership and service in this community, and pray that your wisdom will crown them and that they will understand the issues and make good decisions. We thank you, Father, for all those that are in service for us and our benefit. And we pray your blessing to rest upon them. And we ask for these blessings in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated. We'll start out with approval of the agenda, and I do have one minor adjustment to make to the consent agenda on item 3. It should read August rather than September. And the item in the packet, the supporting documents, was actually August, so it was correct. So just this word. And then I would entertain a motion on the agenda. Charlie.
I move to approve the agenda with said changes.
Ben?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next public forum. I'm not sure if we got the list brought to us for the public forum.
There was nobody when I walked in.
Thank you. Staff reports, Public Works Director. Gina? Oh, yeah, we'll go back to it. No worries.
Still good with me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wanted to take this opportunity to give you some updates on a few projects we have going on or some that we've recently completed. On our 2023 street rehab projects, the work is continuing towards those projects. In-house crews, today we're working and finishing up on patching on 85th Street North in anticipation of the transitional milling that will occur Friday prior to the Nova Chip being done by Pearson Construction. And while the transitional milling will be the kickoff of our rehab projects, the Nova Chip itself is scheduled to be completed after the mill and overlay projects. The Broadway portion of the mill and overlay is scheduled for October 2nd and 3rd, while the 61st Street portion is scheduled for October 5th and 6th. In-house crews will be working in conjunction with the contractor to fill any of the larger cracks once they mill the top 2 inches off. And those projects have 15 working days allotted to them. So it'll go pretty quick once they get going. APAC has begun potholing over on West Parkview to identify the utility depths to avoid any potential conflicts during the full depth reclamation process. The notice to proceed was issued on September 21st, leaving them 60 days to start the project. Once they begin, they have 20 working days to be substantially completed. So again, that'll be another fast-moving project. APAC is putting together a door hanger for those impacted by the project, but traffic will remain open during the construction process. Crews will install temporary drives for any residences as they need them to get in and out throughout the day or in the evenings. And once the city receives the finalized door hanger, we'll be coordinating to get the information on our website and any other social media platforms. The shared use path for Ironstone is currently out for bids. The bid opening on that is October 5th. A portion of this project is actually in conjunction with one of the city's 2023 sidewalk projects, which will connect Ironstone to the Grove Parks on the north end. The remaining 2023 sidewalk projects are still being designed by Kirk Miller's office, and we anticipate seeing those go out here in the next few weeks. They were a little more complex than we had originally anticipated. Another exciting project that we have going on is the 61st Street and Chisholm Creek Waterline Project. Over 3,000 feet of 12-inch pipe has been installed for the new water distribution main, creating a loop in the system that will help boost fire protection. Council approved the project on August 22nd, which means the improvements went extremely well, ahead of schedule. The line's been flushed, passing pressure and bacterial testing as required. And this loop will strengthen the entire system, and it's especially important for Park City's future development. So this was a great project, and things went really well. Over on Aircap Drive, the roller compacted concrete has been completely installed, making the connection between 53rd and 61st Street North. The road will remain closed until the sidewalk, seating, and pavement markings get installed, and it's anticipated that Andale will be complete with those around October 15th. So that should be opening up here very soon. Our water meter replacement program. Staff met with Schulte Supply recently to discuss the timeline and the kickoff of the water meter replacement program. The city received a small shipment of meters today, and the meters will continue to ship to us as they become available. The bulk of our residential meters are expected to be in hand by December, which means we could begin installs as early as January. The Schulte staff is looking for one additional tower location to help provide the best coverage area for the project, while Public Works staff has been working to identify meter pits that need repair and other service line issues prior to those meter installs. Schulte's researching options for the city to integrate user data, and at this time have determined that we could either pay a fee to our current software company to upload the data, or that we could manually enter it in on the staff level. And then last but not least, you guys may remember during budget discussions, we talked about our vacancies. At the time, we had 7 open positions, and as of today, we have 4 open field positions, and we've got a couple more offers out there, and so we're getting really, really close to being fully staffed, and that's exciting for us.
Great.
That's all I have tonight.
Any questions, Gina? Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Okay, next, we'll have a presentation from Superintendent Greg Lear.
Good evening. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, last time I was here about a month ago, and really it was about me talking to you, and now I want to give you the opportunity to talk to me if you so choose. So, we had a bond issue that was voted on about a month ago. Bond issue did not pass, and so what the board has tasked me with is going to get feedback from elected officials, citizens. We have a survey out right now. We've gotten over 900 responses, just to find out what was the reasoning behind people not supporting the bond issue? And what are things that we could do in the future to perhaps have people support that? We still have issues with capacity that we're gonna have to address. And so the board wants to make sure they're getting feedback from the community and the school district for future bonds or whatever direction we head. So really my question is to you, and it's open. If you wanna respond, you're more than welcome to. If not, shoot me an email, whatever you wanna do. But that's really why I'm here, is just to kind of get feedback from any of you if you like to talk about why the bond didn't pass and give me that feedback, so.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
How many students in the Park City city limits go to school in Valley Center?
It's about 16% of our students go to Valley Center of the 3,200. So I would do the math in my head, but that won't work very well. Equates to about 500, little over 500 students is where we are right now.
A fairly significant number, really, then.
And there'll be more coming. I mean, with the housing additions going in and things like that, yeah, we foresee more students from Park City coming into the district.
Yeah, what I don't know, and maybe you could tell me. I saw a couple signs, vote yes, saw one that said vote no. But other than that, a couple signs. I don't know how our parents that have children in that school system, I don't know how they voted. I don't know whether they're contacted. Maybe you can help me with that.
Sure. There was a mailer that went out. I'll be honest, when I took over in July 1st was my first day, there really hadn't been a whole lot that had been done up until that point. And so a lot of the things that happened, typically a bond issue is gonna run about 4 months to get that going. We had about 7 to 8 weeks by the time we started stuff going. So it was kind of I don't wanna say a rush thing, but it was tough coming in, but did my best to inform the public, but I'm not sure as far as what Park City citizens, how they voted, and I don't have, it's kind of the problem with the mail-in ballot that we ran into, which the goal was to get more of a turnout. It turned out about 37% of registered voters voted, which we were disappointed in that number. The problem with the mail-in is we don't have precincts. So we have no idea where those votes came from in terms of who voted, which is problematic, I would think. I think it is, so.
Are you going to redo the offer and put it up for another vote in the near future?
That's kind of part of what we're talking about, is that getting feedback from different community members to decide, is that something that we want to do in the future? Because we do have capacity issues still in some of our buildings where we need to address those to make sure for not only growth right now, but also future growth.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other feedback?
Jim?
Well, I thought it was a good thing. I mean, I think anybody that has children sees the overcrowding and the growth over here, so it makes sense that we need to keep up with the school system. And I know you to be passionate for the school system, having grown up and lived here your whole life. So I don't know. I mean, why did it fail? It was a big number. What was it, 73.8?
Yeah,
74
yeah,
million?
yep.
That was a big number to swallow. I don't know if there's a way to attack it in phases, but there's always issues with that too, with keeping coming back to the voters for more money if you did break it up in phases. I don't know, I wondered about that. I know I had several talk to me about it, which it would, for Park City support, not the city, but the residents, just to have a school closer over here.
Sure.
Somewhere on this side of Broadway. I mean, that's logistical stuff. I know it's only 16% of the students, but I think that's important to, especially the younger kids, to cut down on the drive, and we'll try to do our part to maybe here in the next few years. At least my hope is to try to get kids across Broadway a little easier and safer. That was my feedback. I don't know. I've really wondered that too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Charlie?
I've heard from constituents both that voted yes and voted no. A lot of the feedback that I got was the increase in the mill levy, just a tough pill to swallow. And I think you saw that there was other school bonds that didn't pass across the state. I mean, it wasn't just Valley Center. Right. And I think that's something with the price of, groceries, the price of gas and everything. That's what I was hearing, even from people that voted yes, and they said, I think it didn't pass because of that. I also received questions about why was it rushed and handled as a mail-in ballot and not put on like a November election during the actual election. I didn't have an answer for them because I wasn't involved in that process, but that's some of the feedback that I've heard.
Yeah, the survey that we've given so far, about 915 when I looked today. The feedback, the mail-in ballot, it's disappointing because I asked in the survey, did you vote yes or no? And about, I would say a third of them said no, they didn't vote. And I'm amazed at how many people put, lost my ballot, didn't have my ID, which didn't need that, forgot about it. There's a lot of people that actually said, I never got a ballot. So I don't know, just some things that happened there, but in the survey, the number one reason so far is the increase in the mill levy. That's kind of the preliminary results so far. So, yeah, I would agree.
Good. Yeah,
That's it. Thanks.
George.
Well, I'm one of these people that, I'm kind of like Jim, the location of the schools. I know when they built the new high school, they built it farther away.
Sure.
And some of us thought they could have built it closer. And another thing that I've heard and I believe is there's going to be 2 casinos, a lot of heavy industry up there is pushing a heck of a lot of tax dollars into the Valley Center School District. And I know they're going to have a lot of money over there. Now, and another thing, when they voted that, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that community center over there was built by the school?
The one that's being built
No, the one that's there,
was built by the school?
was it?
The library and community center? No, that's a part of the city. That's not a part of the school district. That was part of the confusion with the new rec center that's being built there. A lot of people associated that with the school district. And we don't have anything to do with that, but a lot of people, our mill levy goes towards the rec commission, so people automatically assume that the new rec center that's being built was a part of the school district, that we don't have any control over that. Or the library community center, that didn't.
What I have done, and we used to have a council or a school board member who lived here, but I have encouraged people that live up in Bear Hill and up north, is I've encouraged them, run for school board. You know, have a say in it. They've got a right to have a say in it. They're paying taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I share with the mayor, I think he had asked that same question about tax, how much tax money goes to the school district. And I think 30% of the tax money, if I remember correctly, goes from Park City to the school district. I think it was 38% comes from Valley Center, 39% comes from North Wichita, and then about 3%, give or take, it's at, year round, is about the amount where the tax money comes from in terms of our budget.
So ours is about the same as Valley Center's?
Pretty close, yeah, right in there, yeah, 8-9%.
If I could, I'll just have that pulled up. The percentage of their budget, 30% is funded by Park City, where we have 16% of the kids. Valley Center is 39% of their budget is funded out of Valley Center, and 58% of the kids. And then for Wichita, it's 28%, and then 18% of the kids. So, and I'll say, I would point that out, so, we're 30% right now with 16% of the kids, and then if you look at some of the projects that are getting ready to happen on the north end of our community, I think we'll very easily exceed the 39% that Valley Center's paying, still having only 16% to their 58. So if you figure dollars per kid per classroom or per school year, we do pay a pretty high rate. So, I think the conversation is appropriate for us, so.
Well, yeah, with that new casino coming in, there's gonna be a tremendous amount.
Casinos.
A casino, yeah. And I don't understand why more people up there don't run for that school board.
Yeah, we have Sean Miller, who's on our school board. He lives in Park City, and these are conversations that, it's part of the conversations I want to start having, which is part of the reason why I want to keep the lines of communication open with the mayor, city administrator. I'm setting up meetings with Sean every couple months or so, just meeting with him as well, just to make sure we're all working together. Man, this mic's sitting, so I apologize.
Very good. George Glover.
Yeah, in lieu of the flyers, did you guys think about hiring maybe a social media group to help you with that, Bond, and promote it?
Yeah, we have a director of communications that did a great job. Part of it was that time crunch. It really was. On both sides, there really wasn't an organized vote yes effort, and there really wasn't an organized vote no effort. So things were kind of thrown together at the last minute, unfortunately. I think in the future, if we do choose to go through another bond election, I think we'll have ample time, 4, 5, 6 months, I'm hoping, if that's the direction that way, because part of it was people just didn't have all the facts, and we kind of had to rush things out, and I think that was a part of it, just not having enough information to give to people.
Yeah, I would definitely make it longer lasting as far as acquiring more information over a period of time and then looking at doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Brandy.
Well, I guess for your confusion, for the rec center being paid out of the school bond or the school district. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe on the tax bill, you see USD 262 rec center. So therefore, that's where the association comes in. So I don't know if there's a way we can work and get that wording or that language changed, so that way they realize it doesn't come or belong to 262.
Right.
And then the other things, just, I mean, other things that have been mentioned, and it's just the same things I'm hearing, is that right now wasn't good timing. I mean, with property rate increase, valuation increases, just the cost of everything going up is just an added expense. People here in Park City that I talked to about that, whether they voted one way or the other, the overwhelming what I hear is it would have been easier for Park City residents to swallow voting yes for that if they knew 100% that a school was going to be up in this particular area.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, the revenue neutral rate, the tax bill that came to everyone, it came about 2 weeks before the ballots were due. And so seeing that when you have, and the county puts those out, so we really don't have a whole lot of say, even with our revenue neutral rate hearing, we're kind of tied to the times they give us. And so unfortunately, I wish there was a way. It happened, actually, I was superintendent in Sedgwick last year. And we had a situation where for the first time, they combined it and said it was all the school district. And so the same thing, people were calling me saying, you're up in the mill levy, 4 mills, what are you talking? Well, it lumped in the rec that was paid through the mill levy in with the school district. I said, nothing's changed. That's been the same, just that confusion with that bill, because, that just started, last year was the first year for it. So I think confusion, just educating people, but 2 weeks before, it was probably a little late on that, unfortunately, but yeah. Thank you.
Charlie?
I'm sorry, I had one other question. Could you clarify just for my edification? I did hear some information about USD 262 still paying on school bonds from the past.
Yeah.
Is that accurate, or
Yeah.
can you explain that?
Yeah, we're paying on 2 bonds currently.
Okay.
One from 2008 and one from 2016. So the one that built the new high school, and then we did a bunch of safety upgrades, secure entrances and things like that. And it's misleading because we refinanced. So it looks like we're paying all these payments on all these bonds. We have 7 different payments that go along with that. 2 of those payments fall off in 2025, like 1 more falls off in 2028. But in the refinancing, we've saved taxpayers about $8.4 million on those bonds. So we are still paying on a couple bonds right now that have been around, but they'll start to fall off here in the next 5 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, I didn't really have a lot, just everyone else had spoke, and I felt left out. I would say, again, probably the strategic planning piece to it is really what was lacking. I haven't heard from a lot of voters specifically on this, so I can't give you any anecdotal stories to complement that, but I will say that the strategic piece of it was definitely missing, and as a taxpayer who, again, when knowing some of the statistics that go on, regardless of who the taxing entity is, whether it's the rec commission or it's the school district, I think, yes, there's confusion that's caused over that, but I think the bigger point is, as Park City residents, we see Valley Center. And we see that money going over there and not a lot of return in there. And again, that's not a criticism of you. I think you've done a fantastic job just in 2 months already of including us. But I will say that I think that's the bigger piece, is that we know that money is going outside of our city to build facilities that we have a much harder time accessing than does someone that lives right in that neighborhood.
Sure, absolutely, yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, I would say this, like, we've had more communication with Valley Center School District in the last few months than we've had in at least 15 years, so I would tell you, thank you for that, and we appreciate keeping the lines of communication open, and we do think it's important that not only us, but our residents that live in the district are heard, and we think that's probably your best way moving forward for both cities.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, that's the thing about it. I mean, I am a Valley Center graduate, but they're all our kids. No matter where their home is, if they go to school in USD 262, they're Hornets no matter where if they're Park City, Keachai, Wichita, whatever. And so really my goal moving forward will be to continue to do that, continue to be present at meetings and anything like that to get feedback. So I appreciate you just having the opportunity and being honest with me. Shoot me an email, give me a call if you ever have any other feedback. So I appreciate the time. Have a good night.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, move on to the consent agenda. Charlie.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Jim?
I'd second that.
All right, we have a motion by Charlie, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 8-0, and just for the record, Brandy is here. Sorry, it's 7-0. Tom's not here. The others were 6, yes. Under new business, discuss and consider a resolution determining the advisability of the making of certain internal improvements in the city of Park City, Kansas, making certain findings with respect thereto, and authorizing and providing for the making of the improvements in accordance with such findings. Sean's not here tonight. Dan is sitting in, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On this item and the next 5 agenda items, all of these are in regard to petitions that were filed on Briarbrook Addition. The petitions were signed by the owners of record of more than 1/2 of the area liable for assessment for the proposed improvements, and therefore, the petitioners requested that such improvements be made without notice and hearing as required by KSA 12-6A01. The improvements on this one include construction of pavement on Briarbrook Lane, Elmwood Street, and portions of Hidden Lane, with drainage to be installed where necessary to serve the area described as the improvement district, all in accordance with city standards and plans, specifications prepared or approved by the city engineer. The estimated probable cost of the proposed improvements is $980,000, with said estimated cost to be increased at the pro rata rate of 1% per month from and after the date of adoption of this resolution authorizing the improvements. The improvement district to be assessed for the cost of the improvements is lots 1 through 51, Block A, and lots 1 through 32, Block B, Briarbrook Addition to the City of Park City, Sedgwick County, Kansas. The method of assessment is equally between all lots. The apportionment of the cost of the improvements between the improvement district and the city is 100% to be assessed against the improvement district and 0 to be paid by the city. The fiscal impact to the city is none. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, I have one real quick question. This item in the next, you said 4 or 5 total?
Yes.
Is all the information basically the same? Obviously, there's different sanitary and everything like that, but as far as the assessment method and everything, my question being is, can we just move through these
Cut
quickly?
to
Or
the
do we need to
chase,
do a
that's what you're
staff
asking.
report for each one?
Yes.
Well, one thing you can do is when you, I think you need to do them separately, but each time, just make the motion to adopt resolution XXX.
Okay,
Second, all in favor.
perfect.
Run through them that way.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to approve resolution 1174-2023.
Would that be 1173?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that one too.
Jim?
Yes, 1173.
I'd second that.
Any further discussion on that? Motion by Ben, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. On to item 5. Ben?
Can I make a motion to approve resolution 1174-2023 then?
Yes.
Okay, then I do.
Charlie?
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. On to item 6. Charlie?
Move to approve resolution 1175-2023.
Jim?
Second that also.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 7. Charlie?
I move to approve resolution 1176-2023.
Charles?
I will second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Move to item 8. Charlie?
Move to approve resolution 1177, 2023.
Brandy,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 9. Ben,
Yeah, I'd make a resolution, or a motion to approve. I'm ready to go. Resolution, oh, I can't even talk, 1178-2023. Look what you guys did.
Ben's motion to approve resolution 1178-2023. Charlie,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We're on to item 10. Is Dominic here? There he is. Discuss and consider an ordinance authorizing taxable industrial revenue bonds to Equiset LLC.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. First thing you'll notice is I'm not Sarah Steele. I'm Dominic with Gilmore and Bell, on council to the city. Tonight, we have before you an ordinance to authorize the various documents involved with issuing the industrial revenue bonds for the Equiset LLC project, which is the Hartman Arena project. I know this council is very familiar with IRBs. I'll point out that as part of this process, and one of the documents is a payment in lieu of taxes agreement. And that payment in lieu of taxes agreement includes a 100% abatement for 5 years, a 90% abatement for the next 2 years, 80 for the next 2 years, and 70 for the 10th and final year. All of those abatements are conditioned upon the facility continuing to be used as an arena as it is currently operated. And so in the event of a change in use, then the abatement goes away and full taxes would be paid on that facility. So with that, I will stand for any questions that you may have.
Charles?
Two questions. I know it references the agreement for payment in lieu of taxes, but in our ordinance, there's no specificity for the actual numbers for that. And then also I was under the understanding that if the usage of the building changes from what it currently is, sometime during the course of the 10 years, that the agreement for payment in lieu of taxes would be abolished at that time. And I don't see that in the ordinance anywhere.
Actually, they've sent that to me. I'm sorry, it's not part of your package. We got that kind of late. And I've reviewed that, and it's exactly as Dominic said. The pilot doesn't go away. By the terms of the pilot, if they cease to use it as an arena, then their abatement goes away 100%.
Right.
So that's effective, and it's a separate agreement to be signed by the mayor and by the LLC.
Okay, so that's an agreement outside the ordinance?
That's correct.
Okay, likewise as the numbers on the 100% for 5 years, 90% for 2 years, and that's.
Those are likewise set out in the pilot.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Ben?
Yeah, so, yeah, we've talked about this one specifically for a little while. And while I appreciate the work being done on this, I don't know if I really think that doing the abatement at that rate is really what's best overall. I think the 100%, 90, 80, instead of stepping that down, I think ultimately for something, the arena sits in an area that is prime development area, with the casinos being built and the expansion work and that piece going through there. It's a prime place for events to take place and to function and everything. And to sit there and give a lot away in terms of what does that equal out to 80-some% total abatement over the time of that 10-year period roughly. I'm not doing the math right in my head, but roughly, I think that's just a lot for us to really consider, knowing the fact that it's existed. So I don't like that portion of it. I think I would be much more inclined to do something, and I'm just gonna throw this out for conversation piece is, you know, I can't make the decision for you all, is, you know, 100% for up to 5 years and 50% for the remaining 5 years. That would equal out to 75% abatement. And again, I think that area is going to be able to be fully utilized in a way that the arena would be very successful as long as management is right. And I have no doubt to doubt the management either. I'm just saying I think that's a good spot. So I don't know if I'm in favor of that high of an abatement.
Yeah, those abatement percentages are certainly a policy issue. That is what was communicated to us that had been discussed between city staff and the developer, so that's what we have included, but that's definitely a city policy issue for you all to consider.
Anybody else? George?
I'm curious, when that arena was first built, we gave abatements on it, didn't we? You know, I've seen that a couple times where we give abatements, businesses don't pay any taxes, then they sell or transfer ownership, and the new people get another 10-year abatement. And, you know, that just don't seem right to me. You know, it just doesn't seem right. It's not fair to the taxpayers of Park City. That's just my opinion.
Jim?
Yeah, I think both those points are solid and spot on. But I'm going to step back and say, well, it's better than not having an arena. If it was torn down and something else was built, we'd probably be talking about a tax abatement for that. This keeps it here, this keeps it rolling. It would be to the benefit of Park City people. The arena has done a good job of advertising for us. I don't know, I'm not really an advocate one way or another, I'm just weighing the facts, and I think at the end of the day, it's been reduced a little bit. It has requirements that they stay open, which I like, because if Park City taxpayers it won't be an expense to them, but it'll be a lost revenue. So as long as they benefit from it by having something done repeatedly up the road. So I guess I would appeal to the owners to keep the thing busy and keep it being a benefit to us, and keep activities going out there. Don't sit on it. Don't be quiet with it. You know, keep the revenues coming in other places through our restaurants and gas tax and all that, to where we can reap some benefit from it. So that's where I'm at. So I'll support it, but I sure respect everybody's opinion on it.
Thank you. George?
Well, what's our recourse if they don't stay open? What's our recourse?
The abatement goes away.
If the facility changes in use and it stops operating as it is today, then the abatement goes away and they will have to pay their full taxes as if the IRBs were not in place.
Okay, thank you.
Brandy?
I guess I just want to reiterate what Jim says. I do hear what you guys are saying about the abatements. You know, it's kind of disheartening that they're asking for a second set of abatements on this, but I too sat there and weighed, what if this arena wasn't open? What if it was gone? I mean, I have a hard time. I keep going back and forth between the two, but I do respect you guys, you know, and what your thoughts on that are.
Thank you, Brandy. Ben?
I will say that I do, again, appreciate this is just throwing stuff out to have conversation on. I'm not a business owner or the business owner, so I can't speak to that effect. But right across the street, we have a facility that is building and expanding, whether it's hotel, whether it's restaurant, casino, with 0% abatement. And to know the type of development that's going on there and the level that they're putting into, I really have a hard time just thinking that at, you know, a lower abatement rate that they're just gonna sit there and say, oh, it's not feasible anymore, when there's so much prime opportunity there at that intersection, and that piece. I understand, this isn't, I forget the name of the company right offhand. It's not this is their first time getting this abatement. I completely understand that previously was a different owner, so it's not them coming back to the well. So I completely understand and respect that piece of it. I just think that from a total standpoint of ensuring that, you know, we're doing good by the citizens, we also do support them through CNT to the tune of a pretty good amount of money each year. So I feel like we're doing our part in supporting what goes on there and everything, and giving them abatement. And again, I just threw out 75% when you even it out, just as I just don't see them saying, oh, yeah, we're not gonna get any business. So that's where I'm at on it. And again, I do think that an abatement, though not necessarily our best way to do it, ideally, understanding that if we lost an arena in the area would be a heavy impact as well, so.
Thank you, Ben. George?
Well, you know, it's my personal view. We're being taxed to death as citizens, and the utilities are coming after us. In fact, today I've sent two correspondents to the Kansas Corporation Commission on their proposal to raise our electric rates. Everybody is trying to get in our pockets. Everybody. I'm talking about citizens. You know, Social Security gives a raise. And guess what? Everybody said, oh, look there. And man, they start clink, 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 and they're figuring how much of that they can get. And you know, after a while, when you've lived as long as I do, you kind of get tired of it. And I'd like to see, nobody ever gives me any break on my taxes. I don't get squat breaks. And that's just my opinion, my personal opinion. That's all I have, John.
Anybody else want to weigh in before I say anything? Charles?
Well, just mainly a question is what's in the agreement now that we have, is that something that we have already kind of agreed to as a council, or we haven't voted on it, but did we give them the impression that this is what we would do, or how did these numbers come about?
You know, Dom, you may know better if that, I think that was discussed, the figures were discussed, but I don't know if they were discussed with the council or with staff, so.
I'm not sure either. I mean, Mr. Fox communicated these numbers to start out for the agreement. I think he indicated that the council has not weighed in or necessarily given him that direction, but that was the back and forth that he had with the developers, is my understanding.
And even if you had heard these in a presentation, you are not bound by this proposed agreement today when you take action.
Okay.
And as, I'll speak for, I don't know if anybody's here, but I don't believe that there's, maybe the corporate representative might want to make some statement about some reliance that they might have had on these figures. But again, as much as I'm aware, the council has not done anything that would really lead them to believe that this was something that was a done deal, if that was your question, Charles.
And that was my question, yeah. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a tough one too, because I really want to see this thing go. We didn't want to buy it as a city, and for obvious reasons. And if we'd lost it, it would have been you know, very negative impact on the city, I believe. And so I want this thing to go through. I don't, you know, I want both sides to agree on whatever we come up with. That's what I'm saying, so we don't lose the deal, you know.
Okay. So my opinion on it is, several years back, we had the Kansas Coliseum here that brought a lot of folks to our town. you know, a lot of our restaurants, a lot of our hotels, a lot of our other businesses in town have really benefited off of the economic impact that was brought from that. When the downtown arena was built, the Coliseum closed. We had the pavilions for a little while, but a prior mayor and Mr. Hartman got together and came up with this plan was a way to drive folks back into our town. If you remember, we used to, one of our mottos was a day, a week, a lifetime of entertainment. You know, at that time we had Greyhound Park, we have 81 Speedway, we just had different functions here where people come and have a great time. Those went away. So they came up with a way to bring folks back into town and kind of help our businesses thrive. And this is the way that happened, and that's why we gave a 10-year abatement to it to make it happen. If you look around the country, the business of arenas does not generate a high profit margin. And that's why a lot of them, if you look around, are owned by government entities, which are not on tax rolls at all. And, you know, examples of that, Entrust Bank Arena is one of them, but up in Salina is one that the city owns. If you go to Topeka, the one there is owned by the city or the county. So this is a way that we can offer, I guess I'll say, a carrot that would keep our restaurants full on the nights that they have these events. Hotels are obviously used quite a bit, which also spurs money into our Commission and Tourism Board. And I think it's been a few months since we talked about this the first time, but if I recall correctly, if we did 100% abatement, the effect on the city, and this was on the prior numbers of it used to be valued at $7 million, was about $80,000, I believe, a year to the city. That's what, obviously there's the school district, there is the fire district, there's other entities that get taxed, but our cut was about $80,000. So now the value, it's been sold for about $3.5 million. So you can figure that it's going to be much less. And in my opinion, if that thing changes into another trucking facility or whatever, some kind of a storage facility of some sort, I think the impact on our local economy, on our restaurants and our gas stations and the services that we have here, the retail, would be much higher than 40 to even, I'll say, 80,000. So I think we need to find a way to make sure that we can broker some sort of a deal so that it does remain an arena. I don't know what that looks like or what that is, but George, go ahead.
Well, I respect your opinion. Are you for this?
I'm for a deal.
Okay.
I'm not in support of the, I don't believe I like the 90, I think this one came to 92%. I think that's awful high. The other thing too, I do like stair-step approaches. I even like that. I think that's one thing that on our regular abatements that we miss out.
Well, when I spoke from a personal standpoint, but I'm still all for the best interest of the city.
Yeah.
You say it's your best interest of the city, that's.
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. And I think I wouldn't be supportive on everything that we have someone come back with their hand out again. And here's what I say with this. I think if you think of the big picture of this business, it's an arena business. It draws in thousands of people into it, probably weekly, I'll say, that come into our city and stop and buy fuel. They eat here, they stay in our hotels. If it wasn't here, that impact would be huge. And then if you take a step back too and look at what do we use tax money for? We use it to provide services to people in our town. People that are going to this arena, most of them take the highway, they'll get off, eat at Applebee's, maybe get gas, they get back up on the highway, they exit, drive into what feeds them right into the parking lot of the arena. So there's not a lot of street traffic, not a lot of police services, hopefully. As we know, the county covers the security there. So I'd say their impact on city services, you know, I think a case could be made that it's fairly minimal. Anybody else? Ben?
I do, again, I am in favor of something on this. I do want to, though, when we talk about some of this, this isn't relevant necessarily to an arena, but just in the last 48 hours, 72 hours or so, Jacksonville, Jaguars there. they have made some underlying comments that they would leave the city of Jacksonville if not for a $1 billion stadium being built by the city. And when we talk about the margins and then cities trying to own things like this, I think that there's a flip side to this. Now granted, where we draw that line at, that we have to be on, this is not near that level of magnitude, so please don't, that's not what I'm saying, but I think when we get into that whole idea, the game continues to grow and expand where the public gets put on the hook for entertainment pieces. And while cities should provide resources for quality of life and things, I think we get to the point, I mean, could you imagine it? We don't even know what $1 billion looks like as a city, I guess, but if we had some of those things that we were responsible for. So again, this is such a small number in comparison, but I think that when we talk about this, that's something, that taxpayers look at. As well. So I do think it's good for the city. I think we need to come up with something. So that's why I threw out what I did, but I just want to throw that in.
Thank you. Jim?
Dominic, can you remind me again what the step down was? It was 100% for 5 years,
Sure.
and then what did it do?
100% for 5 years, 90% for the next two, 80 for the next two, 70 for the last one.
That calculates to 91% over the 10 years.
Yes,
100, 90, 80, 70?
correct.
Well, I don't know, just, seems to me that we gotta figure out a way to keep it going, and it needs to, I mean, it's my take, our restaurants need that, they need something. That's a pretty aggressive tax incentive there. Sure seems like it would be, maybe the answers where we're all alluding to is something less, but still helping. And, what's the something less? Is it, 100% reducing by 20% every year? Or a full 100% for 5 years and then reducing to zero? You guys got to tell me. I've stated my opinion. I think you get your money back out of keeping this thing open through other sales taxes, but that's difficult to quantify, and that does bother me. So I don't know if I should be throwing something on the table, but somebody throw something on the table that we can talk about, just where I am on it.
Ben?
Yeah, so, again, maybe what it would look like at 85% if we did 100% for 5 years, and then stair-stepped it down 90, 80, 70, 60, 50. That would make it 85%. It brings it down a little bit, and it brings it up from what I initially suggested, but then I would stair-step, that would still give, and I think that's a reasonable, again, compromise is the art of getting things accomplished.
Right.
No.
That's why I hesitated to throw something out. I didn't know what you think.
Do we need a motion on that piece there, or is that just what we send back as a suggestion?
I'd suggest that you table this matter tonight.
Okay.
And take it up at the next meeting with if that's, the council could then vote and direct staff to go back to Equiset and have the discussion about that proposal.
So I would make a motion then that we table this and direct staff to go back and with the idea of 100 for 5 years and then stair-stepping it down 10% each year to the 10th year.
Brandy?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. I just want to cover one other thing that I didn't say in my comments a while ago. So it was discussed a little bit, some in the media, but also with some council members about, the price of this building. When they built it, it was around $20 million to build this building, and ended up, they had talked to us at one time in this about $7 million to sell it to the city. And I'll tell you, I just wasn't interested in doing it. I just think you bring on some big financial liabilities for us if you end up with another COVID or another economic failure. at the national level. So I just don't think that's good. And then we hear that it sold for $3.5 million. So I heard there is some support that we could have just bought that. But something I want to tell you, like, just think about if we do have another pandemic happen and things are shut down and this place sits empty, you still got to heat it, you got to cool it, you got to maintain the entire building. And at that point, there's no money coming in. So that's where you go back to the taxpayers and you got to get the money. It's got to come from somewhere to take care of this place. So I don't think that's the best answer for us to do. And we have a businessman or developer that's interested in, risking his dollars to do it. There is a cost to us, which is the abatements. But I would also remind you that if we did buy it for pennies on the dollar, the $3.5 million, it's not on the tax rolls then either. So I do feel like this is the best approach for us. So I am supportive of this. So with that said, I have no other comments pending. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to item 11, discuss and consider a proposal to cancel an existing contract with Axon Enterprise and approve a new contract for the purchase of tasers. Chief.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I provided you with a lot of information in your packet about this contract, but my intention, I want to just hit the highlights on this, but I'm always glad to answer questions because there's quite a bit of information here. But to kind of boil this down and give you the short version of it, I came before you back in December of last year, and you approved a contract with Axon, which is the parent company that produces Taser, and we purchased new Tasers. They arrived in, excuse me, January of this year, and literally while I was sitting at my desk looking at the computer at an ad for the brand new Taser, the previous model was still sitting in the boxes out in our lobby. So they didn't mention anything to us about the newer Taser 10, which is the newest one that came out. So since then, I've been in negotiations with Axon for the last roughly 9 months to try to work out a deal with them where we could return the Taser 7s that we purchased and then upgrade to the Taser 10. The reason for the technology for the newest Taser, the Taser 10, there's some really very significant advances. And without going into too much detail, it's safer and it's far more effective. It addresses a lot of the shortcomings that Tasers have had. And the Taser is an extremely useful and very, very important tool for our police officers, not only for their safety, but also for the safety of the public and the suspects that they're dealing with. Tasers have, across the country have saved many, many civilian lives, people who might have otherwise been involved in the use of force, and have saved governments liability and lawsuits. Millions of dollars in lawsuits probably have been saved by the use of Tasers. So I'm bringing this to you this evening, and just to boil down the cost of what it would take for us to upgrade. So Axon has agreed to cancel the contract that we entered into in December and to ink a new contract with us. You have to look at kind of an apples to apples. So what we bought in December was only enough Tasers for the staff that we had, positions that we had filled at that time. And we have added some positions. We've also filled some more positions. So we need to purchase more. So you have to add that on. There's the extra cost for the extra Tasers. What was not included in the previous contract was the cartridges. So we have to qualify every year. You have to initially qualify and then every year thereafter. And that's a significant expense. The previous contract did not include, that was an option for us. It raised the price. Didn't include the cartridges. So we have to purchase those every year as we move forward. The Taser 10 doesn't give you an option. You have to buy the unlimited cartridge contract with that. So by the time you look at apples to apples difference, what it would cost us to buy the cartridges versus signing the new contract, That's on the last page of your staff notes here. It comes to about almost $3,900 over the course of the 5-year contract. That's how much more it costs us, or about $780 per year. So the bottom line difference is not that significant. I strongly believe in this because of, and that's the reason I'm bringing it to you, so I've been working on it for 9 months. I think it's something that's extremely important for our police department. And I would ask council to approve the rescission of the previous contract and then authorize the mayor to sign the new contract. But I'd be glad to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. George?
Chief, I assume the money's there to pay for this, right?
It's partially an unbudgeted expense, but the funds are available there. We have the payment that they have canceled, so we have about half the money this year
Okay.
would be available. The rest of it is unspent salary money, essentially. It's in the budget.
Okay, well, I move to authorize the cancellation of the existing contract with Axon Enterprise and approve a new contract as in the amount of $81,878.98 with an annual payment of $16,375.80 for 5 years for 24 TASER 10s and associated equipment to be paid from the General Fund Police Department.
Thank you, George. Jim?
I thought you did a great job answering my questions before I even asked them, so I would second the motion.
Very good. I guess something else I wanted to add that the chief said that this thing has kind of changed the world of policing is the savings in work comp claims. Really has changed the game and things like that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Chief.
It's always better than deadly force.
All right. We are on to council comments. Jim?
Have anything to comment on tonight?
Good. Brandy?
The only thing I have is CCUA meets this Thursday at 4:30 in the Park City Training Room.
Thank you.
I don't have anything.
George. Okay. And Tom's not here, and I failed to mention earlier that he did call me today and had a family member that's ill and said he would not make it tonight. So our thoughts are with him and his family. Charles?
Really nothing. I just, on the tasers, I think that's an excellent improvement because you're going from a 2-shot to a 10-shot, if I understood that right. You're going from something that had a reach of 20 feet to 45 feet with a response factor back to the officer as to whether or not he had a good connection or not. And that unlimited cartridge thing, you know, those cartridges must be pretty expensive.
$40 or $50 a piece, yes.
Yeah, I think you made a great decision in updating these. That's all I have.
Are you needing folks for training?
Not it.
Really likes these.
Does it have blanks?
Ben?
This could be a new council initiation thing. This last weekend, I had the opportunity to participate in a ride-along with the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department. And it was very, very eye-opening in a lot of ways. It was fun, but got to see a lot and worked the second shift beat there. But just there was so much value in doing that as a citizen. And Chief, I don't know how, is that something, first off, I guess that we do, allowing citizens to sign up, go through, obviously there's an extensive background check and things, but I would encourage more people to take advantage of that opportunity to see just some of the things. And again, to our police department here, we have a phenomenal one. That was one thing I've heard consistently was how professional our police department is here in Park City. that's come up multiple times. So thank you, Chief. Thank you to our officers here in Park City who do a phenomenal job. But I would encourage people to figure out how to do that. And to our mayor, who also serves in the police department. It's a tough job that is definitely underappreciated, so.
Thank you, Ben. George?
Yeah, the Community Relations Board is working on our annual Fall Fest. That's next month, October 28th from 4 to 6 at Hat McLean Park. I'd like to invite everybody to come out to that. It's really a family, kids atmosphere that we have every year, so look forward to that. You'll see updates on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie?
I don't have anything tonight.
All right. I'm going to be very short. We have 2 open positions on the Community Relations Board, so, and then we have 1 position that's open on the Park Board, Park and Tree Board. So anybody that's interested, if you go to our website and look for our positions that are open on our volunteer boards, submit an application. And that's all I have. With that, I would entertain a non-debatable motion to adjourn. Ben?
So moved.
Charlie? Motion by Ben, seconded by Charlie. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We're adjourned.